Welcome back. Great to have your company on this Friday morning. And now, as the kids gear up to head back to school, many parents will be considering which sports or activities to book them into this year. Soccer, swimming, rugby, or even those who do dream of being right here, possibly the tennis. There's a new study that's out, Georgie, that shows that Australian families spend an average of $2,000 every year on their kids' sport, and that does take a toll on the household budget.
Particularly if there's more than one kid. So, here to show us how we can keep the family fit without blowing out the cost is financial guru Scott Haywood. Scott, good morning to you.
Good morning, ladies.
As Deb mentioned, we're here at the Aussie Open. How affordable is tennis as a sport for our children?
Look, tennis is going to be pretty topical now because we've got 5 young stars going into the third round, and that's kids' heroes, and so they like to follow their heroes. Tennis is great because it's only about, $60 or $70 for a racket, and then you've got balls. Now, tennis balls could be a budget blowout. You could think that it might be only $10 or $20 a year, but it could be in the hundreds. So let's have the balls as an X factor. But the most important thing that I think parents and families should spend money on for kids' sport is a good pair of sneakers. Now, that could cost maybe $100 or $200. Then, if you then put your kids into a tennis club, that might be $200. So I've got tennis as about a $500 a year sport, which I think is fairly reasonable when you consider the cost of other sports.
So when you look at various sports and activities, are there particular sports that you can narrow down that are cheaper than others?
Absolutely. Football and soccer, I think all you need is a mouthguard and footy boots, and then you join a club or a team, and they'll generally give you a uniform, which might include shorts and socks and a jumper. So I reckon they're cheap sports right across Australia. Also, netball's also quite reasonable if you join the right team as well. Then you look at something like athletics and cross-country. Heck, get a good pair of runners and a good pair of socks and off you go. So they're also reasonable. I think swimming's very important.
Good goggles?
People will find that swimming lessons are expensive, but it's so important that kids learn to swim. So that might be one that pushes the budget a little bit more expensive, but I think it's very important. That might be up to $30 or $40 a week per child in the early ages. And, of course, as we mentioned, tennis. So I think there's plenty of options for cheap sports in the family budget, but a lot of people don't consider it in the budget when they are looking for 2019 planning.
Often registration fees are pretty prohibitive, but that aside, what else can people do to find savings?
Well, I think the fact that people can do things themselves, like, people can go for a run around the block, people can walk the dog, people can do their own activities, and also parents can get together from schools and have little footy clinics or little netball clinics or softball clinics themselves. So you can do things without having to pay the big registration fees or big joining fees, in my opinion. And
I was just going to say, there are also, if I could chip in, there are great organisations where you can share sporting clothes. You can get hand-me-downs and you can borrow. That seems to work quite well as well in terms of cost savings.
Absolutely, and one of the most expensive things is buying equipment. That's the big handbrake, in my opinion, in sports for kids, and especially because they grow so quickly between that age of, say, 6 to 15. They just sprout. They're out of the clothes so quickly. So what you can do is, in your network, social media, you could say, my 10-year-old's just finished playing tennis, joined his racket, etc., and just share things amongst your network and amongst your friends. That'll make it a lot cheaper.
There are specific ways that you can actually get help from a monetary point of view, though, from various state governments, though, aren't there? That's
right. So most of the governments at the moment are offering active participation in sports. So what you have to do is have your child's Medicare number. You also have to prove that they're at school, so you have to show that they're registered in a school. You go online. So New South Wales and Queensland offer up to about $150 per child for sporting activities. I think Northern Territory and Western Australia a little bit more. So you can certainly go online and apply online. But some of the sports can become very expensive, like things like skiing, snowboarding, and equipment plus clothes. That can be expensive, even golf. So I recommend people do look online at second-hand gear, especially when they're just trying to try different sports.
Well, exactly. They may not love it. You don't want to go out and get all the gear and then decide the child decides, no, look, I don't actually want to do that. I want to try something else. And you want to give them a taste of everything too.
Well, that's right. And the good thing is the government coming on board is that they want active kids, they want healthy kids. Every family and parent wants their kids active and involved in a team at some stage. So look, government support and government initiatives are really positive, I think, going into 2019.